Before we dive into this story that's sure to move you, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It might seem like a small thing, but that simple action makes a huge difference. It's what keeps this channel going and gives me the strength to keep bringing these stories to you. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next is powerful. The grand chandelier above the dinner table sparkled, casting soft light over the polished marble floor. The rich aroma of gourmet food filled the air, but Juliet, dressed in the plainest of uniforms, was invisible to everyone in the room. She moved silently between the guests, her hands steady as she served each dish with precision. Her gaze, however, was elsewhere. Out of the corner of her eye, she watched Maria, the matriarch of the house, laugh loudly at some joke told by her guests. The laughter sounded foreign to Juliet. Too loud, too carefree. She didn't belong here. "Where's the maid?" Maria's voice sliced through the air, drawing Juliet's attention. "She's right there," her husband, Victor, replied with a dismissive gesture toward Juliet, his eyes never leaving his phone. "Don't bother her. She's probably busy." Juliet flinched, her stomach twisting in an all-too-familiar knot. Busy. A word they used to justify her being forgotten. Invisible. But Maria's next words hit her like a slap. "She's supposed to be our maid, not our daughter. Get rid of her by the end of the week." Maria's words cut deep, far deeper than Juliet had ever admitted to herself. The family she had served for years didn't even see her. To them, she was nothing more than furniture, expected to be present, but never acknowledged. Juliet swallowed hard, her heart hammering in her chest. But as the laughter continued around her, she made a decision. She wouldn't let this go any longer. Juliet stepped back into the shadows of the kitchen, the weight of Maria's words still echoing in her ears. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The kitchen, normally a refuge, now felt suffocating. The hum of the refrigerator, the soft clink of utensils, seemed too loud, too intrusive. She could feel the familiar ache of being unseen, of being nothing more than a tool used and discarded. She wasn't a person here. She was the help. But something inside her shifted. She was done with silence. She was done with being the invisible hand that made the family's meals, cleaned their mess, and disappeared when it was time for them to live their perfect, polished lives. She was done. Her reflection in the kitchen window stared back at her. A young woman with bright eyes, a strong frame, a spirit that had been worn down by years of submission. But that spirit, buried under layers of duty and expectation, was starting to fight back. As the clock ticked, a voice broke through her thoughts. It was Alicia, Maria's daughter. Alicia, with her flawless beauty and perfect life, was standing at the kitchen doorway. She was gazing at Juliet, her expression unreadable. There was no arrogance in her gaze, no contempt. There was something different today. Curiosity. I didn't mean what my mother said," Alicia began, her voice softer than Juliet had ever heard. "I know we've never treated you right, but I don't know what to do about it." Her voice faltered for a moment, uncertainty filling the air between them. Juliet stiffened, not knowing how to respond. The words were unexpected, too much like an apology, but too little to truly erase the years of neglect. But in that moment, she realized something. Alicia had seen her. For the first time in all these years, someone in this house had truly seen her. Juliet stood frozen for a moment, unsure of what to do with the unexpected vulnerability Alicia had just shown. It was rare, almost unheard of, for someone like Alicia to apologize, especially to someone like her. But Alicia had never been cruel to her directly, only indirectly, through the weight of her mother's expectations. And in that moment, Juliet saw something different in Alicia's eyes. Guilt. "You don't have to apologize," Juliet finally said, her voice tight. "Words don't fix things." She wiped her hands on the dish towel, avoiding Alicia's gaze, her heart still racing. She didn't want to hear an apology. She wanted something real. She wanted respect, not pity. Alicia stepped closer, her voice low, almost a whisper. "I know I can't fix everything, but I can start. I can try." She reached out, her fingers brushing Juliet's arm gently. "I don't know how to change things, but I know this. You deserve better than this life." Alicia's words were raw, genuine, and they sank deep into Juliet's soul. Juliet swallowed, her eyes brimming with emotions she had long buried. She had never asked for anything from Alicia, not once in all the years of serving her family. But this was different. This wasn't an apology. It was an opening, an invitation to something more. But the fear still lingered, gnawing at her. "And what if I trust you?" Juliet asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I trust you and you turn out to be just like your mother? Just another person who will forget me when it's convenient?" Alicia's face softened, her expression filled with determination. "I won't forget you," she promised. "I want to help, Juliet. I know I can't change everything, but I can start by seeing you, really seeing you, for who you are." Juliet's breath caught in her throat as Alicia's words echoed in her mind. For so long she had convinced herself that this, all of this, was her fate. To be invisible. To be the one who was always there but never truly seen. But Alicia's honesty, her willingness to step into Juliet's world, was something Juliet hadn't expected, something she hadn't known she needed. She turned slowly to face Alicia, her eyes searching the younger woman's face. For a moment, there was only silence between them, the air thick with unspoken words and emotions that had never been shared. Juliet could feel the weight of the years pressing down on her, but there was a small, flickering hope that this moment might mean something more. "You don't understand," Juliet said quietly, her voice cracking. "This life, it's not just about serving meals and cleaning up after you. It's about being nothing. I've been invisible for so long, Alicia. It's hard to believe I could ever be something else." Alicia's face softened, and she took another step closer. "I can't undo what's been done," she said, her voice filled with compassion. "But I can start by seeing you, by making sure you know you're not invisible. You matter. You've always mattered." Juliet closed her eyes for a moment, letting the weight of Alicia's words sink in. It felt like a dream, too fragile to believe, but something inside her stirred, a spark of something long buried, hope. "I don't know if I can believe that," Juliet said softly, her voice shaking. "But I want to." Alicia reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from Juliet's face, her touch tender and filled with sincerity. "Then let me show you. Let me help you see it too." The days following Alicia's words felt like a new world unfolding before Juliet's eyes. Every time she passed Alicia in the hall, there was a quiet acknowledgement between them, a shared understanding that wasn't there before. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The air in the house, once suffocating and tense, now felt lighter, like something was changing, something deep within them both. But the shift didn't go unnoticed. Maria, ever vigilant, had begun to notice the subtle change between her daughter and the maid. Her sharp eyes missed nothing. One afternoon, as Juliet worked in the living room, she overheard a conversation between Maria and her husband in the other room. "Have you seen them?" Maria asked, her voice dripping with suspicion. "Alicia and that maid, there's something going on between them. I don't like it." Victor's voice responded, dismissive. "It's nothing. Alicia's just bored. She's always been like this, wanting to save everyone. But you know what needs to be done. She won't change her mind." Juliet's heart pounded in her chest as she heard the words. It was clear Maria had no intention of letting things change. She would never accept Alicia's kindness. And if Juliet was caught in the middle of it, things could get ugly. Her hands trembled as she set down the vase she was holding. This wasn't just about being seen anymore. This was about survival. Alicia's kindness, while genuine, might not be enough to protect her. The storm was coming, and Juliet had to decide if she was ready to face it. The next morning, Juliet found herself alone in the kitchen, her mind racing with the weight of what she had overheard. She hadn't told Alicia about the conversation yet, unsure of how to even bring it up. But she knew one thing for certain. Maria wouldn't let her go easily. The power dynamics in this house were too strong, too ingrained. The idea of Juliet being more than a maid was an affront to everything Maria believed in. As Juliet scrubbed the countertops, her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps. Alicia entered, her face flushed, her eyes wide with urgency. "We need to talk," she said, her voice low but filled with determination. Juliet wiped her hands on the dish towel, forcing herself to meet Alicia's gaze. "What's wrong?" she asked, her heart beginning to race. Alicia's expression was one Juliet knew too well, concern mixed with a growing sense of fear. "I overheard my mom talking with my dad last night," Alicia said, her voice trembling. "She wants to send you away. She doesn't like how close we've gotten. She thinks you're a threat to everything." Juliet's heart sank. The words felt like a punch to the stomach, but they weren't entirely surprising. Maria had never been one to tolerate change, especially not the kind Juliet represented. Alicia's revelation confirmed what Juliet had feared. She was nothing more than a pawn in a game she didn't even know she was playing. "I don't care what she thinks," Juliet said, her voice filled with quiet resolve. "But I do care about you, Alicia. If your family wants to make me disappear, I'll go. But I won't let them turn you into someone like them." Alicia's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, Juliet saw the vulnerability that had always been hidden behind her wealth and privilege. "I don't want you to go," Alicia whispered, "but I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. I've always felt trapped in this life, in this family, and now I'm dragging you into it." Juliet reached out, gently taking Alicia's hands in hers. "You don't have to save me, Alicia. You're not alone in this. I see you too." Alicia's hands trembled as she held Juliet's, the weight of her words sinking in. It was as though the walls she had built around herself for years were finally beginning to crack. She had never realized how much she needed someone to see her, to acknowledge her struggle. And now, standing in this kitchen, in the silence between them, she felt like she had found something, someone, that would never treat her like just another privileged daughter. "I don't know how we fight this," Alicia said, her voice breaking. "I don't know how to make things right. It feels like my whole life is a lie. I've been living in a bubble, pretending that everything is okay, but it's not. Not for you, not for me." Juliet looked at her, her expression calm but steady, as if she had seen the pain Alicia had been carrying all along. "You can't change your family," Juliet said, her voice surprisingly gentle. "But you can change how you act, how you see people, how you treat people." Alicia nodded, wiping away a tear that had slipped down her cheek. "I've been selfish," she admitted, her eyes downcast. "I've never thought about how hard it must be for you to live in this house. I never saw you. I never really saw you." The words hung in the air between them, but it wasn't an accusation. It was a realization, a shared understanding. Juliet could feel Alicia's sincerity, and for the first time, she allowed herself to hope. Maybe things didn't have to stay the same. Maybe, with enough will and courage, she could break free from the life that had been forced upon her. But before they could say another word, the door to the kitchen swung open with a sudden force. Maria stood there, her eyes cold and piercing, like a queen about to strike. Her presence was immediate, overwhelming. "What's going on here?" she demanded, her voice sharp. The air in the kitchen grew thick with tension as Maria stepped forward, her eyes scanning both Juliet and Alicia with a sharp, calculating gaze. Alicia froze, her hand still in Juliet's, the warmth of their shared moment now tainted by the cold reality of Maria's presence. Juliet could feel her heartbeat in her throat, the familiar weight of fear creeping up on her. She had been caught in the middle of something she wasn't sure she was ready for. Maria's eyes narrowed, her voice cold and calculated. "I don't know what's going on here, but I won't have my daughter caught up in some ridiculous fantasy. You're the maid, Juliet. That is who you are. And don't think for a second that it's going to change." Alicia's grip on Juliet's hand tightened, her knuckles white. She glanced quickly at her mother, then back at Juliet, as if caught between two worlds. "You don't understand, Mom," she said, her voice wavering but firm. "I've been wrong about everything." Maria scoffed, stepping forward to stand between them, her posture rigid with authority. "No, Alicia, What's wrong is you thinking for a second that this girl, this woman, deserves to be anything other than what she is. She's beneath us." Juliet felt a fire ignite within her at Maria's words. It wasn't just a slap to her dignity. It was a slap to everything she had ever worked for, everything she had ever dreamed of. And now, standing here, she wasn't sure if she was angry or just tired. So very tired of being treated as invisible. Alicia looked up at her mother, her eyes filled with a fierce determination Juliet hadn't seen before. "No, Mom, you don't get it. She's been more of a mother to me than you ever have. She's been more of a person than I've ever given her credit for. And I won't just let you throw her away like that." Maria's face twisted in a mixture of disbelief and anger. She looked at her daughter as if Alicia had suddenly become a stranger, someone unrecognizable. Her lips curled into a tight, furious line. "This is absurd, Alicia. You're letting emotions cloud your judgment. This is a maid, not a member of this family. You're letting her poison your mind." Juliet's heart raced in her chest, the words cutting deeper than she cared to admit. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about the lie they had built around her, the system they had created to keep her in her place. And Maria, with all her power and control, was determined to maintain that system. Alicia, however, didn't back down. Her gaze was unwavering, her voice strong, even if her hands trembled. "I don't care what you think, Mom. I don't care about the rules you've set up. You've treated Juliet like she's nothing, but she's more than that. And I'm not going to just sit here and watch you destroy her like you did me. I won't." Maria's expression faltered, just for a moment, before her icy mask slipped back into place. "You think this is your choice, Alicia?" she sneered, taking a step closer, her eyes burning with cold fury. "You don't get to make decisions here. This is my house, my family, and if I say Juliet is to leave, she will leave." Juliet felt a surge of frustration and defiance. She was done being their pawn. She turned to Alicia, her voice steady and calm, despite the storm brewing inside her. "Alicia, you don't need to fight for me. I'm not some charity case. If she wants me gone, I'll go, but don't let her tear you apart trying to fix something that can't be fixed." Alicia's expression softened as she looked at Juliet, a mix of pain and resolve in her eyes. The anger from earlier was still simmering beneath the surface, but now it was accompanied by something else, a fierce loyalty. "No, Juliet, I won't just let you go. You've been here all along, and it's my turn to fight for you. I won't let her treat you like this." Maria's eyes flashed, her temper on the edge of boiling over. "Enough, Alicia," she shouted. "You are my daughter, and I won't allow you to go against me. You owe me everything." Alicia's gaze hardened, her chin lifting in defiance. "I owe you everything, Mom. I've spent my life trying to please you, to fit into the mold you created. But I'm done. I'm done hiding behind your lies and pretending everything is perfect. Juliet is my family now." The words hung in the air, hanging heavy between them. For the first time, Alicia didn't care about her mother's wrath. For the first time, she wasn't afraid to stand up for what she believed in. Juliet wasn't just her maid anymore. She was someone who had fought for her, cared for her, and given her more than anyone else in her life, and Alicia wasn't about to let that go. Maria's face flushed with anger, and for a moment, Juliet thought she might lash out. But instead, Maria's voice was cold, cutting through the silence. "Fine, but you'll regret this, Alicia. You'll regret ever defying me. I'll make sure of it." Alicia stepped forward, her hand still holding Juliet's. "I won't regret it. Not now, not ever." Juliet felt Alicia's hand in hers, steady and strong, the warmth from their shared moment of defiance flowing through her. Despite Maria's threats, something had shifted within the house. It wasn't just Alicia who had changed. It was Juliet, too. She had never imagined a life where she could stand up for herself, but now, with Alicia by her side, it felt possible. The walls that had confined her for so long seemed less solid, like they were beginning to crack. Later that evening, after the confrontation, Juliet stood by the window, looking out into the garden. The night was quiet, peaceful even, but in her chest, her heart was still pounding with the aftermath of everything that had happened. She was standing on the precipice of something new, but she wasn't sure if she was ready to leap. Alicia approached from behind, her footsteps light. She stood next to Juliet, her presence comforting. "I don't know what's going to happen next," Alicia said quietly. "But I'm not giving up on you. I meant what I said. You belong here. You matter." Juliet didn't know how to respond. She wanted to believe her, wanted to believe that this was real. But the fear, the weight of everything Maria had said, still lingered in the back of her mind. "I'm afraid," Juliet admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've spent my whole life being afraid of people like her, afraid of being discarded. I don't know how to stop being afraid." Alicia placed a gentle hand on Juliet's arm. "You're not alone anymore. I'll be with you. And I'll make sure you never have to go back to being invisible." The next few days were tense, but something in the air had shifted. Maria had quieted down, her sharp words still lingering. But there was a new sense of rebellion in the house. Juliet no longer felt like she had to hide in the shadows, not with Alicia's unwavering support. Even when Maria's icy glares came her way, she stood taller. Her heart beat a little stronger, and her shoulders didn't feel quite so heavy. One afternoon, Alicia approached Juliet with a new look in her eyes, a sense of quiet determination. "I spoke to my father," Alicia said, her voice steady, though there was a hint of apprehension. "I told him everything, about how you've been treated, how you've been the one holding this house together, not them." Juliet's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected Alicia to go this far. "Alicia, Alicia smiled, her eyes fierce. "I told him you deserved more, and I'm not going to let them take that away from you." She took Juliet's hands, her fingers warm and reassuring. "You're going to stay here. You're going to stay with me, and we're going to make sure you're treated with the respect you deserve." Maria's voice cut through the quiet of the room. She stood at the doorway, her face pale and tight with fury, but her posture stiff. "I see you've decided to take sides," she sneered, her words dripping with venom. "But I will not have you defying me in my own house." Juliet, with her heart pounding but her voice steady, finally spoke the words that had been locked inside her for so long. "I don't belong to you. I never did. And I won't let you break me anymore." Maria's eyes widened, her lips parting as if to say something, anything. But the words didn't come. Slowly, she turned and walked away, defeated by the strength she had never anticipated. Juliet turned to Alicia, the bond between them stronger than ever. For the first time in her life, she felt free. And with Alicia by her side, she knew she would never have to hide again. She was seen, she was valued, and she would not be silenced. If this story moved you in any way, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Honestly, every like, every subscription is what keeps this channel breathing. Without your support, it's nearly impossible to keep going. So if you can help, know that this only exists because of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying until the end. I'll see you in the next story.